Welcome to episode 1
Yes.
of our new show. She is Lais, and I am the coach, and that is the name of our show.
First of all, if there's ever been a time for personal bubble, this is.
We will always stay true to what we do. So you're doing is going to get you to the next place.
Right.
Throw the list away. What? It's only a matter of time before you cave.
You can look way better than you used to.
Such a great experience.
Well, like it knows everything you've given.
Shown curiosity. What if it actually works?
I've been chopped down como persona.
100%.
An extra
You're sitting right now. Sometimes it is a member.
Welcome, everybody. Peace out, everybody. All right, everybody. Welcome to Lais and The Coach. This is episode number 2 for 2022. And today we have 2 very special guests. But before I introduce them, one of the things that we said in last week's episode was that this year we really wanted to dive into all the other things that are not necessarily fitness related. So a lot of times we only talk about workout and we talk about dieting, we talk about all that stuff. And a lot of times we miss the missing pieces that go into all the other things that encompass this lifestyle, right? So when I was saying that last week, what I was thinking about was them two, because it's rare that you get all of the components of living this lifestyle and having those external things happen in a couple, right? Usually it's like one person or the other. So as we were saying that last week, this is really what I was thinking, because we've been talking about it for a while. So welcome Ashleigh and Beau to the show.
I'm so excited.
We are really excited to have you guys on. Ashleigh and Beau are both competitors with WBFF, both are champions with the WBFF. So we are excited to dive into some fitness stuff maybe later, but at the beginning, it's like we want to talk about like all the stuff that goes on in your day-to-day life, right? So first off, you guys are married?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We still are.
How did you guys meet?
We met on Facebook.
How cool is that?
Um,
Oh, I didn't know. All right, great. So let's dive into that.
well, I was living in South Africa. Funny enough that, we all about the WBFF because he was living in South Dakota at the time and apparently saw the WBFF page had shared a picture or had seen something on their page of me.
It was like a birthday post or something.
Something like that.
Okay.
And then I had just gone through a divorce and then this name started popping up on my post on my profile and I was like, never seen this name before, but I really wasn't paying too much attention because I was like, just like, kind of trying to survive. Long story short, we started chatting. He added me as a friend in May. And then June we started chatting and it was like on and off for maybe a month. And then we FaceTimed the one day, and then I guess you could say the rest is history.
How cool is that?
I know. South Dakota and South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally different worlds.
Yeah.
And so she finally, it's like, I woke up one morning and had a text saying, after you had some coffee, text me, call me. And I'm thinking, oh, what's going on? And she had basically sold off some things and bought a plane ticket and was coming what was supposed to be for
6 weeks.
6 weeks and ended up 5 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
I literally got to the airport and I had sold everything I owned. I called my brother and I was like, sell everything. I sold my ring, bought a plane ticket. So I had a bit of savings, kind of culled through my clothes, took 2 big suitcases at the airport, said to my mom, I'm going for 6 weeks, but also might not come back. That's kind of just where I was. And the day that I was supposed to fly back, we were actually watching TV. We were sitting in bed, laying in bed eating pizza, watching TV. And I was like, I'm supposed to be on a plane.
Good thing it wasn't a murder or anything. I'm just saying.
So
that's amazing.
She gets to South Dakota late fall, so right as winter's
the last
winter
week of
city.
September.
So you were getting ready for winter.
Yeah. So talk about not only culture, but climate shock as well.
I mean, I'd been to Montreal around April, so I knew of cold, but it was such a quick visit. to stay in that type of cold climate. Like we had to go buy me like coats and boots, and I didn't have like the right
new
shoes.
wardrobe when she got there.
So cool. How is the culture thing in your relationship? Because it is very different.
It's so funny because like, I will say this, a lot of people think when you say you're from South Africa, they think like you live in mud huts. And I don't say that to be like, you know, just like mean or rude or anything. There's just, I think, such a divide in what's taught in schools, and like there's no real like information put out there. Like we have cities that are like New York and Miami. They're just not as big and as populated, but we still have that type of infrastructure. We might not have like as great infrastructure, but we still have like 5-star hotels in like cities, you know.
I think the biggest thing was the dialect. We've done a couple like fun videos on like where, you know, she would say something, I'm like, what? and we still do that now. Or
like in the mornings, he'll say sometimes in the mornings when I wake up, I'll speak and my accent will apparently be very thick to him, and he'll be like, what? I'm like, wait, but I'm not speaking Russian.
That is so cool.
Well,
So,
for me, it was interesting because he grew up here in the South. I'll be standing next to him and a friend that they'll have a full-on conversation, and I will not understand a single word they say because there's just such a slang in the South that I just don't. And I'm just like, what was that about? He's like, you were right there. I'm like, I didn't understand. Was that even English?
Oh my God. So cool.
So you were already competing when you guys met.
Yeah. So by the time we had met, I'd already won my 2 crowns. Yeah. So I'd already done a good few shows.
And then just for context, were you competing already, Beau?
I had not competed yet. I was actually in starting prep for my first NPC show at that time.
Okay.
And I was not, like, WBFF wasn't really on the radar.
Okay.
And I actually didn't wind up competing for probably another year and a half after we met, and I did an NPC show first.
Right. And then just for the audience, before that, were you involved in fitness?
Well, yeah. So I played minor league professional baseball for about 10 years prior to going back to PA school. So I trained as a pro athlete my entire life. You know, I played high school, college, and then pro ball for almost 10 years.
So you didn't wake up one day and say, you know what, I think I'm going to join a gym today.
No. My dad was a power lifter /
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he was a power lifter when I was growing up. So I mean, I literally have pictures of me like 3 years old with like plastic weights over my head. So I was like born into it.
It's like junior.
My training was just different. You know, I didn't train. I trained as, you know, to play my sport.
Yeah.
Not for physique.
Performance.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then when I got through playing that, obviously I needed something to stay competitive because I'd been a competitor my whole life. And so I just kind of naturally started, you know, I had some buddies that competed in NPC, and then I met some more friends that competed. And so I just kind of naturally gravitated towards it. So it's something you can work on your own and keep you competitive. So.
Very cool.
So cool.
And how long have you been competing, Ashleigh?
Will be 13 years now. My first show in 2009. So, yeah.
Wow. And were you competing over there, or were you coming over to the States?
So I kind of felt, it's so funny. People are like, how did you get into it? And so just to backtrack, I was a dancer from little. I was in the ballet and that, and I did ballet and karate. I pretty much tried every single sport in school that you could think of just to try it. That's kind of also how I ended up in the gym, because when I had finished school, I missed something because I was in the first team we have netball in South Africa. So like I was a first team player from like the 9th grade. So there was very competitive. And then I had stopped my dancing because there just wasn't really a market for it there. And so I joined the gym for the classes, and then started training and that type of thing. And kind of fell into it when someone was like, hey, you should do this fitness show. And I was like, a what? You know, I go, what is this? You know? And so then I did my first show, and it was a little bit like the WBFF, but it was very basic in terms. It was still very like free flowing. There was kind of like the mandatory quarter turns and stuff like that, but it was still very wasn't as rigid as like NPC, IFBB, and like you had like a theme way around. So I kind of fell into it by accident and was like, okay, cool, you know, I'll just clean up my diet a bit and jump into the show. And that was
Cool.
by accident.
So
And I
cool.
did predominantly most of my shows in the beginning in South Africa. My first international show was only in 2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So now we'll get into it. So in your dynamic, like, do you guys work out together? Do you work out separate? We'll start picking this apart now.
For the most part, we work out together. You know, I work full time in the ER as a PA, so my schedule's a little.
You have a job?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean? You don't wake up and you're on the
Right,
bench?
I know, right? Like,
He technically has 3 jobs.
yeah.
Holy
Like,
shit.
everybody thinks, oh, you do fitness shows. That's what you do 24/7, right? Yeah, no, we got to work. And so, but for the most part, we work out together when we go. Sometimes we'll have to go separate just because the schedules, you know, are too crazy. But we'll be in the gym together, even if we're not doing the same stuff. We try to go together, mainly because, you know, I do work a lot, and so that is another opportunity for us just to spend some time together as
Of
well.
course.
When I'm not working. Plus,
It's also nice to have him to load the bar for me so that I don't I'm like, hey, you come here, please.
I get put to work even at the gym. So yeah, but you know, we both have similar goals and stuff, so we motivate each other in there as well. So
yeah, it's nice, especially just to have, even if we don't, like you said, do the same workout, it's just nice to know that your person is like there, even if like I'm prepping or only he's prepping. It's just nice to know that they're within proximity and you just feel more like motivated and they're there to be like, come, you know.
Well, even I mean, you know, when she was prepping for the last show that Lais that y'all did in Atlantic City, my schedule was nuts, and there'd just be days I would get off, and I'm like, I'm not doing it today. But she has to. I mean, you're on prep, you have to go and do it and go. So I wouldn't work out, but I would just go and just be that motivation for her while you're there.
That's awesome. I remember her and I would be chatting sometimes, and she'd be like, I'm waiting for Beau to get out of work so we can go work out. And I'm like, holy shit, it's so late.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. Yeah, we do the same.
Now, for everybody listening or watching, like during the course of a contest season, you're not always prepping for a show. So with you guys, do you guys try to like match your show off season and prep season together, or does it depend on what's going to happen?
We actually, Worlds was the first show that we did together. Prior to that, we had done how many? 8, 9 total, and we had never done. It was either one of us was on and the other was off. So we were like alternating.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
For like 2 years, we were like alternating shows. The one was on prep, and the other one wasn't.
Yeah.
And we were in.
And how do you guys balance your eating out? Like if one's on prep and one's off prep or in the off season?
We honestly aren't that bad.
Yeah.
I'm the worst. like I like to eat. I'm not gonna lie. In the off season, but we stay pretty strict. She's strict all the time for the most part. So it's not.
I also don't like. I've done 22 shows in total in my career. So like, I get quite formulaic with it. So I think I just got to the point where I'm like, I chose to do this and not make myself a victim of my prep. I see that a lot with newbies especially. And I think it's just the excitement and just something new of it. Like I really don't care if he eats something in front of me.
We said all the time.
I'm not eating because I'm just like,
Like we made the choice to do it. Like, you know, I made the choice to prep. If she's not on prep, it's not her responsibility to eat like I eat, right? I'm the one on prep. I'm the one that chose to do it. If she wants to go eat pizza, go eat pizza. I just gotta eat what I gotta eat, you know?
Yeah, like, I mean, he was on prep. When were you on prep before me? He did Orlando last year and I didn't. And like I would tell him I want some Chick-fil-A and he would like drive through the Chick-fil-A to order just for me and not get anything for himself. So like he's like, whatever.
I love what you said there. Like you're not a victim of your prep. And it's so like such a golden nugget because it's true. Like in the beginning, the excitement is great. Like you're excited, and you have this goal and you make your bikini and you're doing all these things, but then the day in and day out stuff, right? Like someone's eating, your kids or your husband or whatever is eating something you can't or you shouldn't, right? Or you have to go to the gym even if it's late and you're tired. Like the shit that you have to do every day that's non-negotiable can become like, oh, now I gotta do this. Oh, I can't eat that. Oh, I can't go here. And you do become a victim without even noticing.
Yeah. I think it's just also, it comes with a bit of experience and like learning to just that mental shift of like, it's temporary, right? So like, I see it often. A lot of people like stock up and they'll have this little shrine of treats for like after the show. And I'm like, that's the worst thing you could do for your mental state right now, first of all. Secondly, like your favorite burger place, your favorite pizza place, all the sweets in the stores, they're not going anywhere. So like you like the food is always going to be there. The opportunity to reach this goal might not.
Exactly.
You know, and that's kind of what keeps me like, it's okay, I'll get over it. You know, like I'm just like, you're being a baby, stop now. You're fine. You know, it's just a constant internal dialogue. And I think that's where a lot of people, they let too much of the outside dialogue affect them, where they haven't developed that ability to kind of put their blinkers on and just be like, this is what I need to do. This is what I'm doing. It's temporary. I'll get there and I'll have the fun afterwards. You know?
How do you guys balance out that social dynamic of being in prep and then wanting to have like couple time or date night or out with friends? How do you guys find that balance?
We generally would build like a date night around the cheat meal.
Yeah.
Try to do something like that. And we're actually pretty boring, to be honest with you. we go out and eat, do stuff together. We like to travel, but other than that, I feel like we're either working or we're at the gym. You know, and we go hang out with some friends.
Cooking and cleaning.
And hang out with some friends, you know, on the occasion as well.
Yeah.
But if it's during prep, even if we do that again, you know, we don't expect others to do what we do or understand, because, you know, for a lot of people in the outside world, I feel like it's almost become where people that are into fitness and stuff are almost looked at negatively anymore.
How dare you take care of yourself?
Right. It is. It's like, or they automatically lump you into some category or stigma. You know? So, but that's fine, you know.
100%.
You know, that's fine. We do it for us. We try to get other people, just like you guys do, involved, just to be healthier. You know, you don't necessarily have to compete, but just for the lifestyle of just being healthy. You know, I'm in medical field, so I want people to be healthy. They don't necessarily have to step on stage or compete, but I want you to be healthy.
Yeah.
A lot of times, a lot of our clients deal with social situations or have a hard time when they have that pressure from friends or family constantly telling them, hey, you know, don't tell your coach you had this, or one piece of cake isn't going to be a big deal, right? And I usually tell them, you know, why don't you turn around and offer them a protein bar and see, and tell them, you know, one protein bar isn't going to get you in shape. Why don't we go to the gym once? That's not going to do anything for you, and see how it works. Do you guys ever get anybody like say, hey, why don't you do this one time? You know, it's not really going to throw you off. Or do people like,
know better?
It's funny. We always talk about being in social situations. So like, Beau's 6'5" and built like this, and he's wide. You know, he's a big guy. So like, just his stature, he attracts attention, right? So even if we're at a gathering, or like, obviously I'm a girl, I've got a little bit of bicep. You know, we are never the people that bring up what we do. We'll just be like casually talking about like, what do you do? Or like, you know, just joining in a conversation, and it always gets brought up and like, oh, I could never do what you do. I like to eat too much, or I like food too much. And I've honestly got to a point where I'm kind of like blunt about it. And I'll say, you know, it's really not that hard, because I actually eat a lot of food. Because people are like, oh, you're probably so hungry all the time. I'm like, no, I actually eat real good food. Like most people, you don't love food, you love junk, and you love sugar. that's why you can't reach your goals. Like you can still have it, but you're probably having too much of it, right?
Right.
So in terms of like us, in the beginning, I had a coach that was all about the steamed fish and steamed broccoli, and I did a show like that, and it's impossible to maintain. So like I know how hard that is to go 12 weeks with just steamed fish and steamed vegetables and like no condiments and literally the bare bones of bare bone type of prepping. But for me, it's most important that like I literally just had 2 slices of toast with like 2 tablespoons of butter on before we jumped on this call, right? So like you can still eat good food and like less, I guess what you could call less good food. Let's not label them good or bad, but it's about the quality of what you do most of the time and the quality of your workouts, right? So
I think at this point, people don't, they know, you know.
They know better.
They don't, they just, you know, like at work, they'll say, oh, you can't have that. Can you? Nope. All right.
But I think that the thing is, like in most other situations, the rules are different. You don't show up to work once in a while and expect to get paid. You don't show up, you know, as a parent or as a spouse every so often and expect for it to be great. But for some reason, the perception that you've got to show up all the time and be consistent with how you put food in your body, or if you move or if you don't move, is so foreign still.
And my beef with these social situations is like, it's never okay for you to walk up to a heavy person and be like, damn, you're gonna eat all that.
I've said the same thing.
Well, it is.
I've said the same thing to him. Like, why is it okay for someone to be like, oh, you'll be, you know, be careful, you're getting too much, or you're getting too skinny, or you're getting too lean, or you know, you don't want to look like a man. And it's like, I would never dream of walking up to someone that is not in shape and have something to say about their body. I couldn't even fathom I couldn't fathom doing something like that.
Right, but you can't.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it's acceptable to go up to somebody that's working on their goals and that is in shape and be like, you're probably hungry. You know, it's probably so hard. It's probably this. It's like, but you never walk up to a heavy person.
Or when are you going to stop?
We shut them down because we do get it sometimes and we go, no, it's really not that hard. Kind of just like, you know, blank face. Like, it's really not that hard.
But it also falls into the thing that just because you are, that you're stigmatized because you do these type things, that you must have this certain arrogance or certain, you know,
vanity or.
Right, just about yourself, that you like think that your shit doesn't stink and that you're, you know, holding it down to everyone else, and so so it's okay to assume that about somebody because they choose to live that type of lifestyle, you know. But if you know, you assume that somebody that's morbidly obese is just a lazy, you know, doesn't care about anything, well then that's wrong. You know?
Let's not talk about that though. You know, like no one can say a word.
Yeah,
right.
It's funny just how the outward appearances create those assumptions, because I would, after like long bouts of being in certain gyms back home, make friends with some of the girls there, and more than once got the comment, you're actually really nice. And I'm like, as opposed to what? Like, what did you think before? You know, like just because, and I've had people literally say, you know, you think the girls that look like you in the gym are usually the ones that aren't very nice.
Because I think there's some vanity to it, you know, that it's just straight vain because you're doing that. Not because you want to be healthy, not because you're goal oriented and driven, you know, none of these other things are me. It's simply because, you know, you want to look good and portray that to everyone and kind of walk around like with your nose up in the air.
Like you're full of yourself.
Absolutely. I never joined the gym with the goal of a physique show or with aesthetics in mind. Because I was an athlete from the first grade, I swam throughout my entire school career. I did ballet, I did karate, I did tennis, I played netball, I did track, you know, I did everything. So there's a competitor in me that needs some kind of that, you know, physical stimulation. But I joined the gym for the dance classes because I stopped dancing. So I just needed that outlet. And I was already eating pretty well because I was struggling with some sugar levels. And when I started lifting some weights, I started to see some changes. And I was like, well, damn, you know. And because I had such a strict or such a rigid degree that I was doing, it was a very practical design degree that I was doing. It required a lot of my time. So the gym time to me was really kind of an outlet. And through the years, it's just become more so that my reasoning to people is like, you don't have to lift weights if you don't want to. Join the yoga class or join the spin class or do ballet, or just find something you enjoy, because the likelihood of you sticking to it is much higher when you're doing something that you really enjoy, as long as you have your health in mind, right? And for me, I love working out because it makes me feel good. And the side effect is that I look good.
Yes.
It's not the other way around, right?
To me, it just shows you have self-respect,
Yeah.
right? You just, you know what I mean? You know, and I'm high on just having self-respect, like caring about yourself first is going to allow you to, in turn, project that and help other people.
Yeah, bleeds through.
Same as, I'm sure you can relate as being a mom, like, not being able to fill your own cup and feeling like you're just trying to pour into other people when you really feel empty.
100%. That's literally why I started competing. I was in such a rut. Like, I was doing nothing for myself. I had no goals. I had no aspirations. I didn't like the way that I looked. It was literally like kind of fell into it in a way too, for that reason. Because if you don't fill your own cup, if you don't have a thing for you, something you're working toward, then you can't really give to anybody else. It spills over one way or another.
Yeah.
But working out or I guess any kind of discipline requires discipline, right? And it feels, or it seems on this side, that that's really the challenge that we are facing these days. The ability to stick to something long enough. Most people come across like they want things really fast, right? Absolutely. They want to open a business and they want to make money fast. They want to join a gym and they want to get in shape fast. Everything is fast. Yep. And the discipline required to actually get anything out of anything is that time that you've got to put in. And we are in a place and time in the world right now where just everything is so quick, and I think that we are losing that. And it's almost like the people that are doing the things that we do are less and less and less, because everybody wants things so fast.
And this is the one thing you can't really speed up.
Right.
You can do whatever you want, all the surgery, all the drugs, you still can't look fit and have that kind of physique without putting in actual work. Like, there's no way around it. And time.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. You're right. It's with everything, really. So I've coached. We now, like, I'll coach, train other people. I've coached athletes in football and baseball. And especially at younger levels too, like, kids will come in at 11, 12 years old, and if they're not the greatest at it right away, they quit and go to something else instead of working at it and getting better, and better. I work in the ER now, and when I was still a student, going in trying to suture somebody or, doing some procedures, you suck at to begin with. But when you suck at the first, you don't just quit. You got to keep doing it and doing it, and you get better and better and better at it. But you're absolutely right. People want to be an overnight success, but don't realize that overnight success isn't overnight. For a minuscule amount of people it is, right? And that's what everybody shows. That's what they show on the media. That's what social media shows you, the minuscule amount of people that make it happen.
Yeah.
They don't tell you about everybody else that, it takes years. We talk about like Sam Walton in Walmart. He didn't reap the benefits of them being the richest family in the world till maybe very late in his life. It took his entire life to build that. And now his descendants are reaping the benefits of that.
Exactly.
Well, case in point for me, I turned pro in June of 2013 and was kind of at the top of my game, kind of like feeling like a big fish in a small pond, right? Decided to do Worlds that year, didn't place. So flew from South Africa to Vegas, didn't place. I was like, okay, cool, it's fine. I got my pro card this year, back to the drawing board for 2014, spent the whole year prepping, spent all that money, traveled all the way back to Vegas the next year, didn't place. So I went from winning, being at the top of the game, to stepping up a level, standing in the pro lineups, and was like feeling highly defeated, like, what in the hell?
And in today's world, that's where most people quit. Yeah. And then it's easy at that point to start pointing fingers.
Yeah.
It's this person's fault, it's that person's fault, it's the judge's fault, it's this one, that, instead of looking internally and say, what do I need to get better at to go compete?
As I was going to say, so what I did was I sat down and I realized, I was so obsessed with I was like starting to look who's competing, who am I up against, I need to win, like I'm doing this to win. And I realized the reasons I lost my why kind of along the way, that was like that was intrinsic, and I was kind of just allowing other things to affect why I was doing it. So I went back to the drawing board, went and did makeup tutorials for myself, went and hired an image consultant, changed my hair color. I literally went back and did everything that I knew and I could in my power, which with the WBFF is your grooming, your suit, your makeup, from the moment you show up, you're dressed well, you carry yourself well, like every single outfit was curated, everything was perfect. Stage presence, everything I was in control of, I made sure that I was like in control of. First and foremost, revisited my why and why I love doing it. And that was in 2015, I decided to do a smaller show, which it was the Montreal Pro-Am, which then became the LA Pro-Am. And I was the first one out on stage of like 23 girls or something like that. I was the first one out on stage, but I was so ready because I was like, I have done everything. Like there is not a stone left unturned the moment I stepped on that stage. And the feedback was, Paul said, I stepped out on that stage and he was looking for second place. That was the impact that I had because I was so confident I was in control, because I went and revisited why was I not doing my best and how can I fix it? And then I won my first crown.
That's awesome. I love that.
And then I placed fourth later that year at Worlds, and then 2016 won the second crown and then placed 8th. 2016 Worlds was massive. We were like 70 plus pros on stage. It was rough. Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But it's so true. Like most people, it's easy to point fingers, like Beau says. It's easy to say, oh, this or politics or this or that. But it's very rare that someone is able to step back and say, maybe I should have done this better, or I could have done that better.
Or they'll quit altogether, be like, competing's not for me, or I'm going to go to another federation, or I'm going to go to another coach, right? Like someone always wants to blame something else and feel like, how can I move on so I don't have to face the fact that I'm just not good enough yet?
Do you think before, like, I do want to talk about the competition stuff, but do you think that that's just kind of the social norm where it's becoming normal to quit, or,
Absolutely. And it's become okay.
It's become okay, right? Like
when I was growing up, playing sports, it was not okay. It was not okay.
It wasn't even a thing.
It was, no. And it wasn't okay to blame other people. Like parents never went to coaches. You come home and said, if when I was playing sports as a kid, if I felt like I should have been playing shortstop, but the coach's kid was, or whatever, the feedback I got from my parents was, when you get your opportunity, show them you're better. The cream will rise to the crop. Don't just go out and outperform them. Make it known that,
be undeniable.
Right. Make it known that you are the best. And if anybody looks at the situation and you're not playing and you've proven it, then they look silly.
Yeah.
It's just it's acceptable now and almost like encouraged to not take accountability for anything in any aspect of life. There's no accountability for anyone, and point the finger and blame everyone else, and quit if you don't get exactly what you want when you want it. Don't work for it. Don't grind. Don't just put your nose down and go get it. And even if you do that, that doesn't guarantee that you're going to win it or get what you want. But so many people have lost the fact that when you do that, you're building character. And we've lost a lot of character in the country and the world, and especially just in sports and fitness. And the things that you go through competing and training stuff does so much more for you personally than if you actually get up there and win. I mean, everybody wants to win, but just the process builds so much character.
And here's the other.
You made a post about that, Lais, the other day. I read it and I agree with it 100%. Like the person that you become in the process of achieving a big goal is like priceless. I mean, sure, we all want.
Right.
Yes, put it on, queen.
Right? We all want first place, but there's also every prep you learn something about yourself, or, you know, just the tenacity and the resilience and the ability to be like, you know what, I saw that through, as crap as it was.
And even if you don't win it, like
Yeah.
you still get all of that stuff, you
The
know?
grit of like, okay, I didn't win, now I keep showing up, or I did win, and then like you said, now you're kind of at the bottom, right? Not at the bottom, but if you win your pro card, you're on top of the world, but now you got to go to a pro lineup, right? So it's like, just, you have to have that commitment and that grit of like, I'm just going to keep going no matter what.
Right.
And a lot of times it's a lot easier for people to shift the focus than to acknowledge that they just need to continue to lean in and dive deep, and not like that giving up is not an option.
Right.
I think,
For me, for my clients is, sorry, Raf,
Nope.
so many people are so focused on results that nothing changes. But you need to focus more on the change, and the more that you direct your energy towards changes, the results will follow, because you're so obsessed with pulling apart this or this or this in the mirror of looking for results, that your effort in the changes that need to be made get diminished.
Yes.
And that's where I think a lot of people fall short. Like, just keep showing up, just
100%.
learn to love the process.
It's hard for people. So social media is just so bad in so many ways, because it's just flat out lies on there half the time. When people put their, you know, their client 8-week transformation, and like I've seen it in like dude's hair is going from my length to like this length in 8 weeks. You know what I mean? And people buy into it, and they think that after you know 2 months in the gym that they're not this completely changed person. Well, it's the coach's fault. Let me change coaches, you know, or like you said, they just quit and go do something else. It's just,
well, I don't think that people are actually prepared for what's next. I don't think that the person striving to win, or the person striving to open a business and make money, they're never really ready for what's next, because they're so caught up in the time that it's going to take that they don't develop the skills required to be prepared to handle what's next.
absolutely. Yeah,
You
like go back to the example I used when I would train, you know, baseball, football players, you know, mom and dad, and then when we would come in and do like some more complex drills, and I'm like, sweetheart, your son can't even field a regular ground ball. Like, he doesn't need to be doing this other complex. Like, you gotta crawl. You know, you gotta crawl before you walk. And people want to go run right out the gate instead of building the foundation.
And you know what it is, like, especially with social media, like, I very rarely will share what I eat every day or every single workout I do, because it's so repetitive. It's not sexy. It's not glamorous, right?
Yeah.
And people expect this, especially when you see the end result of like standing on stage. It's glorious, you know, it's hair, makeup, tan, everything, the whole package put together is amazing. But leading up to that process, not glamorous, not sexy. It's very, very repetitive, and it's very, very, very much the same, you know, like,
Yes.
I might share let's say I share my workouts now and then, or I share it this week. Guarantee they're going to be the same next week, you know. And a lot of people, like we always say with social media, you don't need to be doing all these fancy things. You need to stick to the basics and just keep doing them over and
Competitively.
you're never above the basics. You're never above perfecting your squat form, or like doing a deadlift right, or, you know, you're never above those things. And a lot of people miss that because they feel like they're too good somehow to do the basics or do the same thing over and over and over again.
We were talking about this morning. 95% of people, if they want to get, they just need to get in the gym, do something, and clean their diet up. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? But they need to get in and move. But people want to go in and like attach like all these ropes to themselves and like, which is fine, like if you get to that point. But like, people want to jump out the gate and, you know, like, you know, try to balance on both of the walls while they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, you don't have to.
It's like a circus act.
Right.
Don't get me started on that.
He gets so mad at that. Like, he really does.
Why don't you blindfold and light yourself on fire too? Like,
right.
Point of that, yeah. But it's true, Ashley. People see the end result and they see it and they want it, but you are not willing to do what I did to get there. Is usually, you know, the thing.
Isn't there was a story, I've heard it before, but I can't remember who it was, the golfer that would hit a ball and someone.
My dad would tell me, Lee Trevino, you know, said, I heard this story so many times growing up. It's like, you know, he was coming off the golf course and the fan was like, man, I wish I could hit a golf ball like you. And he looked at him and said, no, you don't. He's like, what do you mean? No, I don't. He's like, are you willing to hit 1,000 golf balls a day till your hands bleed, go tape them up and go hit another 1,000 golf balls after that? He's like, no. He's like, then you don't want to hit a golf ball like I do. You know,
I love that.
They want to do it. They want to be able to do it, but
They don't want to put in the work.
They don't want to put in the work that it takes to get it.
And I always, you know, I tell the kids and I tell most of the people that we coach, the gym will teach you most of the things that you need to learn about life, because everything in the gym is earned. You know, there's no shortcuts.
Right.
You've got to show up every day. You've got to put in the work and you got to wait. If not, you're never going to get, and it doesn't matter what the end goal is, right? Whether you're an athlete or whether you're a fitness competitor or whatever, the end result requires time and it requires work and it requires showing up, you know, and so does everything else. And unfortunately, with the gym, it's like you say, you see these shortcuts and everybody wants one, yet you spend 10, 12 years taking shortcuts. You still spent 10 or 12 years. Like you should have just put in the work.
Working at nothing.
Right.
The time is going to pass either way.
Either way.
I think I made a post about that the other day. Most people will give up on something just because of the time that it's going to take. And it's like, well, the time's going to pass anyway. What, are you doing something more beneficial or more like you?
I went back to graduate school at 35.
Yeah, there you go.
You know?
Yeah.
So like most people are like, you know, I'm too old to do that. Why?
You know, there's just a set of rules that most people want to follow that, you know, unfortunately they don't look outside.
The rules only cater to people who think small and people who are mediocre. No offense if that's you. Because, you know, if you're fit, then we're gonna talk about how that's wrong. But if you're fat, we're not gonna talk about how that's wrong. If you don't want to have kids, then how dare you? If you have kids too late, if you're too muscular, if you're going back to school, if you don't go to school, like everyone has an opinion based on whatever timeline they think is like acceptable.
And I would have this conversation a lot also about, because I struggled with that for a while because I left college early to go play ball. So I left after my junior year. I spent the next decade playing ball, and I get done and I'm in, you know, my late 20s, around 30. I don't have a college degree, and I'm looking around and people my age, friends, they have families, they have kids, they've already been in a career for so long, and I'm like, I'm just starting. And you know, and I talked to my parents, and they're like, so what? Like, you know, you've done all this other things that a lot of people haven't done, but who, like, there's no timeline on anything. Like it's not 1950 where you're expected to get married at 19 and have 2 kids.
Thank God it's not the 1950s anymore.
Right? And you know, she expects, you know, wife is expected to do nothing but stay at home and take care of the house and babies and not have you know, it's not that time anymore. It's not that time. So there's no time frame on anything that you want to do.
Everyone's got their own trajectory, you know, everyone's got their own timeline.
So looking at, you know, it's still January, looking at the upcoming season, let's get into some contest chat. Do you guys have shows mapped out for this year?
I think we're both just focused on worlds right now.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it. You both have titles obviously already, so that totally makes sense to just go for the world title.
Yeah, and also, so my feedback, because I've been with the Federation for so long, is like, I need to bring something that's like, holy crap, you know? So like, that was my feedback. Like, I need to take that time off. I mean, I could do the Orlando show, but in order to make significant changes on my physique, because I've been training for so long, and as a woman in her 30s, as a natural female athlete, it's hard to put on significant lean mass if you're constantly prepping, right? Because you're obviously then dropping. So for me, that kind of is more of a strategic decision. As much as I would absolutely jump into another prep to do stage because I love the stage, it was more of a strategic decision based on an end goal for
I think
Worlds.
both of us were,
So,
you know, we both, like I said, we've done a total of 9 shows together, just back to back to back to back to back. And we both progressed and did great last year.
Yeah.
But neither of us had really any time to break and like actually focus on some things we need to focus on
Yeah.
if we want to, compete for a world title or, or make a presence at Worlds. And so that's kind of where I was too. I accomplished what I wanted to last year, did well at Worlds. And so I was like, I need to take time off and work on the areas that I need to work on. And
you guys ever feel like that if your show is too far out, like it delays that time that you want to be on stage? You ever feel like you lose track or lose sight when the stage is so far away?
I think the itch to get on stage is always there,
Yeah.
Just because it's such a great experience. But again, I think it goes back to what's your ultimate goal, So, I think both of our goals right now are to win a world title. And we realize that in order for that to happen, some sacrifices such as not jumping on stage, earlier than that need to happen in order to make that happen. So I think as long as they have that in the back of our mind, it makes it a little bit easier.
I think it's also, like I said earlier, with a bit of maturity, experience, and like the longer you do this, the fact that I've done so many shows, I think I'm able to step back and be like, I know how long it takes to get,
Go ahead, sorry.
making me to look like this. So I know in order to make any significant changes, I need to make this decision. But also I know if you think, oh, the show's only in August, you're gonna blink and it's gonna be like June, and you're gonna be like, what the hell just happened?
We just said that we're halfway through January already. It's like man, it's gonna,
because life is so busy, like his schedule, and I'm also like doing things and learning new things and trying to work on our coaching and stuff like that. You look up and a month goes by and you're like, well, damn. So
it's funny because for that first experience or the first couple shows, it's like that. You're like, oh my God, like 20 weeks, 25 weeks. And now it's like, holy shit, like I'm already like halfway through this next, like, how does this happen? You're like, is that going to be enough time? Do I have enough time?
Yeah. We first prep was like 16 weeks. Oh, that's forever. Now it's like, oh shit, that's not a lot of time at all.
I mean, you as well. We jumped off of Worlds and decided shortly after that, okay, let's do Atlantic City. And like I blinked and I was like, how are we 6 weeks out? I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
So that's also kind of what we discuss a lot as well. Like, it's important to allow yourself to enjoy other things in your life and not completely, I mean, prep is all consuming, right? Your whole life revolves around it when you're in it. But it's important to allow yourself to still enjoy downtime, to still enjoy one-on-one time, to still be able to take a step back and be like, you know what, I'm actually exhausted today and this workout is going to be useless for me, or I really need to just get more sleep and recover, or let's go away for the weekend. I mean, going away for the weekend for us is like, we've done it a handful of times where we'll just be like, pack a few things in the car and we'll just drive, and just an impromptu. And that doesn't necessarily mean you need to go lose your mind and go crazy with junk food. You can still eat relatively good. And by good, I mean just nourish your body with decent food that's not completely empty of nutritious value, right? So it's more about learning to create a space for your competition and your prep, but allowing it to be part of your life, not your whole life.
And you learn that the more you go through, obviously, as competitors, and and hopefully you can find, coaches that realize it too, like you guys get it, we get it. We've seen so many people that jump into competing and they pick a coach that just beats the shit out of them for their first prep, and like ruins it for them. Like, not only want to compete, but like ruins them mentally, ruins them physically.
We saw a kid at one of the gyms that he started, his condition changed, and we were like, oh, you're competing, you could tell, he's getting more vascular, his skin was getting tighter, and we're like, oh, okay, cool. And then we heard what he was doing, what his coach was doing with him, and I literally said, this coach is going to ruin it for him. Like, he's never going to want to step on stage again. Because that's how
we've had a few of our clients that were like, I did NPC and this was my experience and I really never wanted to compete again. And I'm sure you guys have experienced the same. You guys are coaches also, and it just does ruin everything. Your mindset around it, your experience, your metabolism, like, just screws with people. And I think it's so irresponsible. Not only how certain coaches diet people down, but the amount of drugs that they give or things that are unnecessary. you
Well,
know?
and nothing against the NPC. I mean, obviously we do WBFF, so we love it now, but that's one reason I don't enjoy the NPC either. It's just got out of control, and it seems like that's a little more rampant in that realm. Where
Yeah.
It's definitely a different look.
And
Yeah.
also, like I always say, you know, your health and your mental state is way more important than a show. I've as much as, you know, I make a living off coaching girls, if I feel like you're not ready to compete, if you come to me and you're telling me you have this kind of issue with food, you binge or blah blah, I'm not gonna say let's go and do a show 6 months down the road. I want to heal your relationship with food first, because you kind of just masking that obsession or that issue and now giving it a name called prep, right? A show, and I tell a lot of people, you know, like, you don't have to just decide I'm going to do a show and do the next one closer to you. Decide a year or two from now and put the time and the energy in, because you don't want to jump into let's do a show and then you put all this time and effort into it and you're not competitive. I would rather train an athlete for over a year, 2 years, and bring a competitive physique to the stage and be like, she actually stands a chance of winning or being in the top 3, versus just the sake of doing a show because you wanted to do a show because everyone's doing shows.
Right. And I think that's pending the personality too, because some people would never put in a year or two for something that they don't even know at the end they're going to like or that they want to actually do. Right. So I think it's definitely a case by case thing. A lot of times people use this goal for different reasons, but I agree with you. If there is an underlying thing there, you definitely need to tackle that first, you know, in this process.
Yeah, because a show's not gonna solve it. A show could
make it worse sometimes.
Gonna make it worse.
Yeah.
But you're right too. I think we said that to some of our clients. So what's your goal? What do you want out of this?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, are you being like really competitive here? Are you just trying to break down some, like I had one of my clients been with me for a while, and when he originally started, it wasn't about winning for him. Yeah. It was about breaking out of his shell.
Yes.
Having more confidence and kind of, you know, just doing it for him, whether he placed or not. And we've done several shows, and now we're to the point where it's all right, I'm coming to win now. You know, but it didn't start, it didn't start as that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think we definitely have the opportunity to like guide people in that direction. But like anything else, right? Like you've got to sit down and have some clarity with what kind of outcome you're looking for, and have some clarity with the amount of work required to achieve that outcome. You know, you went to graduate school at 35. You didn't say, well, am I going to be done by the end of the week? You know, there's clarity in the goal, there's clarity in the work required, and what you're going to get out of that. And you went into it and said, yeah, this is what I want to do. I think that with things like this, you know, we kind of go back on it, and it's people want to do this, and then they hear the amount of time and effort required, and hopefully it's like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. I want to put in that kind of time and effort to get that outcome. Because usually when it's the opposite, it's you know, a disaster. You know, people that want to do it fast and quick, and it's like, what do you mean I can't be ready next week? Or you know,
well, and there's a lot of people or coaches out there that will tell them that they can, you know, and you know, and bad things wind up happening, you know. So
my favorite is people are like, I don't feel ready. I'm like, you're 16 weeks out, like you're not ready.
No, you're not even close to ready.
You're not supposed to be ready.
Right.
Yeah.
That's actually an interesting point. I was going to go a different direction, but you know, you guys, for you guys listening, both Ashleigh and Beau coach. Do you guys do coaching outside of prep or only for the stage?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do everything from lifestyle to, so we have like lifestyle, which is basically just people that want to get a little bit more educated on how to actually make healthier choices and like go in the right direction. Just, you know, for longevity. And then we've got transformation, which is for the stages, but also not. So like if someone comes to us and say, oh, my wedding's in 6 months, you know, so, and then, or it's like, it's my 50th birthday and you know, we're going to whatever, Mauritius for my 50th and I just want to look better or feel better, you know, those types of things. And then the stage, which is full on prep, posing and everything.
So when you get a Go
And I
ahead.
still train athletes as well. So I've done
Yeah.
here recently, just like some cross country people and still baseball people and stuff like that as well. So like athletes outside of.
So when you guys get a transformation person that is getting married, right, and they say, I don't think this dress is going to fit, or I don't think I'm going to be ready for this vacation, or in some cases, I don't think I'm going to be ready for the stage. How do you guys assess that, or how do you guys deal with those type of situations?
I think I guess it depends on the time frame when where in the time frame they say that.
At the beginning.
In the beginning, then you know what the point is, that you're not going to be ready overnight, right? And anything new is going to be scary and daunting. But also, the only way that you're going to climb the mountain or get through the valley is by taking the first step, right? And that's by making one better choice today, which is taking the stairs, or one less cup of coffee or soda pop and an extra glass of water. It's the small things that will compound. Like I always tell my clients, don't underestimate the small things, because the small things are what add up to the big things. It's like in a relationship. It's the small things that are really the big things, because without the small things, they don't mean anything. You can't go from an amateur to winning world championships, right? You need to like put that effort in, build the foundation a little bit, maybe win a title, and then win world championship. You need to do a bit of groundwork first, and the groundwork is where most people fail, because they fall back on old habits. And most people think, oh, I've been doing this for 3 days, it should be a habit by now, when it's actually not. It doesn't work like that.
Like you said earlier,
people aren't willing to be consciously aware of their decisions. They fall back too easily on habits, and like bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
Expectations are set up front as well. What's feasible for you to do in this time frame, and what it's going to take during this time frame to get there. And also, if we have somebody that's maybe the transformation, it isn't staged, but like I said, it's this trip or this wedding or this or that, setting the expectation too that is your goal for now, but we need to have a goal after that as well, because
Yes.
how many people even stage, right? Set a goal, get on stage, and then as soon as that's come and gone, that lifestyle or the work kind of goes away, and then we go right back to square one instead of continuing kind of the progressing or staying where we're at.
Whenever we get clients, if I'm dealing with a lifestyle or a prep client, my process is the same. Like my goal is to teach you how to do things that are sustainable.
Yes.
For instance, at a certain point of your prep, if I'm coaching you for prep, I'm going to be a little more harsh than I am with a lifestyle client. But at a certain point, I'm going to tell them it's going to start sucking. Like it sucks. You're going to have to do this and this and this. And it's to most people, 30 minutes or 40 minutes on the stepper is extreme, but it's for a small goal, right? But we have a game plan for afterwards to kind of wean yourself out of that. But the eating habits and the approach towards nutrition and training, and how much you enjoy it and how much you incorporate it as a sustainable part of your day, every day, or 3 times a week or 4 times a week, that's where my focus is. Because what are we doing it's like saying it's better to give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, or teach a man to fish and you'll feed him for the rest of his life. Mm-hmm. Like I've got some clients, I've got an online lady that's been with me for over 2 years, and she's in her 40s, and she just kind of does her thing. Like I program for her, and her results have been amazing. But I've taught her in the beginning how to do things, and she kind of just goes. I don't want to babysit clients for 5, 6, 7 years, right? My goal is to constantly help people and then say, okay, now you know. Now you know, go. And if you don't know, come back and we can fix it, or we'll work on it. And so there's a point of prep that does get extreme, which is maybe 6 days a week, maybe 40, 45 minutes, 50 minutes of cardio, but it's for a short period of time. And it's for a specific goal that may require that. I mean, maybe your genetics allow you not to require that, but, so it's like Beau says, what is the goal? What is the effort you're willing to put in? And let's just clarify, like at some point this is going to suck. At some point you also have to make a decision. I made this decision. This is what I want. So I'm willing to forego this, or,
like we were talking about earlier too, though, I think clients and people just in general need to learn the self-accountability part too, because it doesn't matter how great a coach you are, somebody else is, at the end of the day, you're the one deciding whether you're going to eat that or not, right? I'm not there knocking it away from your hand. At the end of the day, it's you. At the end of the day, it's you whether you decide you're going to get up and go to the gym or not,
Yes.
Those are the things that people need to understand, no matter what coach you hire, no matter what, at the end of the day, it's not their responsibility, As a coach, I can give you guidance. I'm there to motivate you. I'm there to give you knowledge, as you guys know, but I can't make you do it,
Right.
And it's really not I don't feel it's my job to make you do it. If I have to make you do it, then you're not wanting to do this.
Yeah.
100%.
Right. And you don't really want it.
100%.
Right.
What is what's one thing about this journey or getting on stage that you guys wish more people understood or knew?
I think, that just what we've been saying, that it is, don't get fooled by what you see on social media. Don't get fooled because stepping on stages over the past couple of years has become like a popular thing to do. Not necessarily people do it because they really enjoy it or they want to get fit. It's like, well, knock that off my list, which is fine. But, it's a lifestyle change if you want to do this. It's not a quick fix like we've talked about earlier. You need to go into, if you want to step on stage and do this, prepared to change some things that you do. It doesn't always have to be drastic, but you do have to make changes. He
says it all the time. Change requires change.
Absolutely.
And people want a change in their physique or in their life or in their health, but they're really not willing to make changes.
Right.
Or they're willing, but just not enough. And
Right.
It's like, if you want change, you got to change.
Right. And I tell all the time, we've had clients and I hear other people say, oh, well, I can't eat this. I can't do that. I can't do this. I can't do that. Okay, do a little bit. But if you're constantly saying that, then you don't want to do it.
Right. Yeah, that I can is really I don't want to.
Yeah, not willing.
Take doing some things that you don't, at this point, that you don't like because you just haven't done them before. And it requires stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Eating some things that maybe you're not used to eating. Putting in a little extra effort that you're not used to doing. It's going to take that. No magic pills.
Yeah. I think also I wish if I, could add to that, it's really not that hard. Going back to what I said in the beginning, like making yourself a victim of your prep, right? I always tell everyone, like, I'm an incurable optimist. I'm not always the happy-go-lucky ball of energy, but like I always am able to be like, it'll be fine. I'm not a hysterical person. I don't freak out over things. I'm not someone that worries excessively about a lot of things, but like, it's not that hard. And a lot of people will see the end result and be like, I don't know if I can do this, but also it's the most important thing that you have to do is conquer the day. That is your goal for every day. If something seems too overwhelming or too big in front of you, like just conquer the day. And if even the day ahead of you seems too much, conquer the next meal. That's your first goal. Conquer meal 1. Okay. Conquer your workout. Got it. Meal 2, conquered. By the end of the day, you feel so accomplished because you've achieved a small series of goals, and people fail to break it down like that for themselves mentally. And
you got the ultimate goal, but to get there, you have to accomplish those small ones.
And I just I try to tell people it's really not that, I get all the time, you're so lucky, you've always been small. You're so lucky. Like, I don't want to look like people. I've literally had countless women say this to me. I don't want to be too much. I just want to look like you. And I'm like, do you know how long it's taken me to look like you?
Yeah.
It's taken me 14 years, let's say 9 years of solid, good lifting to look the way that I look.
I hate when people
I
say
started
that.
small. I started at like 100 pounds, but you know how long it's taken me as a natural female to build lean mass and shape, because I was like straight up and down, like small.
You know, to get to your end goal, it's not like this.
No,
it's
it's
not
not
a
linear.
steady incline. It's gonna be
Yeah.
Waves.
it's down, it's up, and you're just constantly going up. People hit that first little wave or a couple of waves that go down, and
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, and we've had this natural, female athlete talk all the time, Ash. And I think that I hate when people say that to me too. Like, well, you were always skinny. It's like, yeah, you know how hard it is to put on muscle. Like it's a lot easier if you're overweight to lose the weight than to put on muscle when you have none. Like we have none on your frame.
I always
So annoying.
I tell people all the time, next time you're at whatever grocery store you are at, pick up a pound of steak and then tell me how you expect your body to generate a pound of flesh from thin air for no reason. Because it's that easy, Because
it's my favorite. People are like, yeah, but I don't want to get too big. I'm like, do you have the secret? Because I need it.
But it's that easy, right?
Like, honey, if it was that easy, we would all look like Greek gods.
Right.
Like,
It's also
trust
like,
me.
It's also like the thing, just that's people get mad or whatever the meme is, whatever it's saying. Oh, it must be nice, right? It must be nice. Yeah, you have no idea.
Yeah, so nice.
What it took, in order to achieve X.
Yeah.
They don't want to look like a man. Like, what man? Because not every man you look is.
Right? And I don't know how there's always new people learning new things. And like, I just don't know how we're in 2022 and people still think if I pick up a weight, I'm gonna like.
We're still there. We are still there.
If only it was that simple. One question for you guys. What is the biggest impact, and you can take turns, that competing has had for you personally?
So when I was younger, I struggled a lot with, this is why I brought up the food issues earlier, because I struggled with terrible self-esteem and like confidence, and I was painfully shy. And when I started competing and found that there was this thing, so for me, like I said, training was kind of like me in my own world, kind of a little bit of an outlet. As a creative person, like I need to express myself in my way, and for me, I guess like working out is that way. And then being able to combine that with the performer in me, that is the stage. I think it's allowed me to step into like my full purpose and my full confident self as a woman, to be able to, how do I put this? They say what's that saying that says, allow your light to shine so bright, because in turn it allows others to feel that they can do the same. And like diminishing yourself doesn't do anything for anyone. And I think for me, the biggest impact has been able to step out and to prove to myself and then to other people that it is possible to, when you follow your heart and follow things that set your soul on fire, like amazing things happen. Right?
Yes. So, I love that.
And just the person that I've become, being able to like, because prep is an obstacle, right? There's obstacles, and it's a mental battle as much as it is a physical one. But being able to develop that grit and resilience, through every prep and come out and be like, looking back, you think, wow, I've overcome all these things. And every time it's just made me a better person, a stronger person with a different outlook or a different perspective or a new perspective on certain things. So, and then able to just give back to other people that are in that same spot that you were in, and be able to empathize and not just be like, get over it, you'll be fine,
I love that.
There's that human component to it. Like, I've been there, I understand, I really do understand. It might not seem that way because you see what I achieved, but I was there too, so.
I totally get that. I love that. Beau, for you?
I think for me, a little bit along the same lines. Obviously, like I said, I've competed my whole life, so I needed something to keep me competitive in this, and you know, doing fitness shows has done that. But at the same time, and I tell her this all the time, I'm very goal driven, and I literally will not be finishing one thing and think about the next thing that I can go and accomplish. And she gets mad at me all the time for doing that.
He wasn't even finished med school and he wanted to go to law school. I was like, one thing at a time, please. One thing at a time.
So a lot of the things like that is just because that's how I am. And I just grew up competing and stuff. But a lot of it too is I like to be able to show people that you can do anything that you want to do, kind of what we were talking about earlier. There's nothing, I don't consider anything exceptional about me. I went to grad school. I'm a smart dude, but I'm nowhere near the smartest guy in any of my classes, right? I had success in baseball and I was a great athlete, but I was nowhere near like the best athlete on the field. I've had success in the fitness world, but I still have a long ways to go physique wise, and I'm nowhere near like one of the top physiques, but I work my butt off for everything that I've done. And I want people to know there's nothing exceptional about me and the things that I've accomplished. It's simply because I have worked my tail off to get things. And like we were talking about earlier, people don't want to work their tail off for things anymore. And I just want people to show people that if you do work hard, you can accomplish things. You don't have to be the greatest at something, but if you continue to work at it, you can be good at it. You can do whatever you want if you're willing to put the time and effort in, you know?
You know, we say as well, like, there's nothing particularly special about me. I just never gave up.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I had given up after not placing 2013, 2014 Worlds, I never would have gone on to win a crown and then a top 5 placing and then another crown, you know? So like you only lose when you stop trying, right?
Yeah.
And that's like we say, a lot of people, they give up. I don't know if you've seen that meme of the guy that's like digging underground and like there's a giant diamond like inches away from him
Right there.
and he turns around and gives up. And it's like, it really is true. Like the moment you feel like giving up is when the biggest breakthroughs happen. Like,
yeah,
it's literally a second wind. And I saw something the other day. It was actually while I was prepping for AC and I heard it because I was tired, right? We had just done Worlds and like jumped straight back into prep. And I'm like, I am tired. And I think it was a Mel Robbins thing that she said, some people never get to their second wind because they give up before their first wind is finished. And I was like, that's so true, because, you know, like a lot of people, some nights I'll get out of the gym more energized than I went in because I'm exhausted by the time I go to the gym. But then I'm like, I get the second wind because I'm like energized and motivated and like pushing through the pain. And a lot of people don't know how to push through that pain to come out on top.
The biggest joy I get is having people tell me or get messages from people that say how inspiring you are, or you and Ashley inspiring, or you doing this inspires me to do, like, versus if I never won anything in athletics, never won a show, and I had people messaging me that and telling me that, that's what I want. You know, it's just to inspire people that way. I could never win anything ever again. And if I still had people feel like I'm inspiring people or helping people better themselves, that's what I'm all about.
I think that, that's me as well. When people, and Lais, I'm pretty sure you've had it with ladies as well, that say, you know, like, thank you for that message that you posted today, or like, I really needed that today. And it's like, you really are just being true to yourself and speaking your heart and like sharing what you feel is valuable in the space. And when people are like, you're such an inspiration, it makes the times where you're standing on the stepper like, what am I doing? Or like, at you know, 8 o'clock at night, you know.
And right now I think is a great, like what we're doing right here right now is a great testament to that, because if you look at it, like I'm sure some people are going like, what the fuck is happening, right? Like you guys are coaches for the WBFF, we're coaches for the WBFF and outside, we're both posing coaches. I was your runner-up, right? Like we've done so many shows together. Some would even say our physiques are similar. You and I are the same age, so we're never going to be in a different category.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really non-conventional to be talking to people who do what we do, like, but the mission here, the passion behind it is really that. What can other people get out of it? You know, like you and I have always had a great friendship. Like we'll chat online, we chat at show weekend, you know, but it's like, it doesn't matter that I'm stepping on stage next to you, right? It's like, it is what it is. Like that doesn't take away from a great person you are and an awesome competitor and a great coach. And so that really was the goal today. Like what you guys are saying is the same for us, like inspiring people to just want to do better, to want to do more, you know, like hearing from different people, hearing different people's experiences, the golden nuggets that you guys are able to share. Like that's our goal, to be able to bring that to everyone.
Like I said, even between competitors, right? Like that's, you know, to me, that's a great thing about the federation we're in too. And Paul is big on that as well. And he even spoke about that in Atlantic City, you know, is when he was competing and stuff that, you know, the guy that he was competing with was roommates with for a while, you know, like all the guys that I compete with, we are all like really close and motivate each other. And then we step on stage against each other. Like you said, you two, like, you know, we're 1 and 2 at the last show. And here we are, we're both all coaches and here we are on a podcast together. But it's like, you can motivate and be friends and have each other's back throughout the process and still step on stage and compete. And still, as soon as you step off the stage, go right back to that, you know?
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
Yep.
If you've been listening or if you've been watching this on YouTube, like there's so many takeaways in this episode. Like you're definitely going to want to listen a second time. And you're definitely going to want to share this, because I think that if you share this with just one person, like Beau was saying, that gets something out of this and decides to make a change after hearing something that was said, you know, that alone is worth it. Where can people find you? Like IG, do you guys have a website that you want to plug?
Yeah, share your stuff, guys.
Even though we'll post it all.
We'll post it.
I'll post it in the comment section, in the notes, and
still say it.
Page,
Okay, so my IG is Ashleigh.Frost, and it's ASHLEIGH, not LEY. And then our website is www.teamelitebodies.com, and our IG is also teamelitebodies_.
Yep.
Awesome. Guys, make sure you follow them. Beau, you're yours.
Do yours, Beau.
Beau.Torber, just my name, BEAU, not BO, not BOW, not B, whatever. BEAU.
Make sure that you are following them on IG. Make sure you check their stuff out. Make sure you turn post notifications on, do the like, subscribe thing that people do on podcasts.
All the things.
And if you have questions, put them in the comment section. I will make sure that I get these questions to them. And I think that we could honestly just keep talking about so many different things. And we should definitely have you guys back on the show, especially as you guys get closer to Worlds. It would be great to chat about how your prep is going and how you feel stepping onto the stage. It's always good to get that competitor's mindset as they get closer to their show and see how tunnel vision you can get. And I'm sure the audience would love to hear all of that.
Especially at you guys' level, you're already champions. You're going for the biggest championship, so I think people can definitely get a lot out of that. And your shoulders look amazing. Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm getting presses. Those things destroy you.
Thank you guys for being on today.
Thank you so
all
much.
All of you listening, watching, thank you for listening and watching. And again, just any questions that you have, just post them in the comment section and we will send them to Beau and Ashleigh and make sure that we have a redo of this episode, because I think that we can just honestly just keep chatting.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.